now going to touch the pad. Everybody in the world fused. Now then, crew, and welcome back to the Andy Mechanic YouTube channel, and I've got the infamous
Tool Girl Holley.
Yes, Tool Girl Holley back in the workshop again. It's been a long time. Well, about 5 minutes actually. We did some work on Tool Girl Jade. Got a couple of ears again. Tool Girl Jade's car. We put those tie rod ends on. So, in the previous video with Tool Girl Sam, we removed and partially stripped down the carburetor on that on the hoist there. Look, the old Honda ATC200, the machines that basically spend most of their lives trying to throw you off the saddle. Now, I've done a bit of research, and I reckon now that this is a 1984 vintage. It's got the shaft drive, whereas quite a few of them are chain drive. It's got the high ratio, the low ratio, and the reverse. So essentially, it's the big red, which is pretty cool because it's the main machine. It's the workhorse of the family of these ATCs that were very, very popular back in the late 70s and early 80s. And that's one of the reasons why I've picked this particular machine to do some videos on, because you don't see them around anymore. And nobody commercially can sell them anymore. Well, certainly not in England anyway. I spent some time on the internet and managed to download, I'm going to take the cover off actually because you'll get the glare. But I managed to find the official, look, it's got to be the right one, look, it says official on it. It's the official Honda service manual for that particular bike. And it says there, look, 1984. So I reckon I'm right. But if there's any distinguishing features on this machine that sort of give it away as being a different model or a different year, then please put it in the comments, because you know that information's invaluable. Now, don't forget, these machines really they got a sort of legislated out, basically, is probably the best way of putting it, and that's where the four-wheel ATVs came from, because, well, people get falling off these, and I was one of those people. I remember riding a 70cc one back in England at a place called Lightwater Valley near Ripon, and there was a little course. It was my 7th or 8th birthday, I can't quite remember, and we went down there with some of my mates, and we spent about half an hour on these little ATC 70s, and all they did was run over our legs, because we'd go around a corner and the inside rear wheel would lift up. You'd put your left leg down to kick it back, and of course you'd forget there was a tyre just behind your leg, and it ran up my leg and dragged me off the bike, and there was bits of skin on the ground, and it was great fun. I had a fantastic day, but it took a while to heal up afterwards. So what we're going to do in this video is continue with that carburetor strip down, and now we've got the service manual, we can do it by the book. So hopefully this video will be helpful to a number of you out there that maybe either own an ATC, one of these Hondas, or looking to get one, because there's still lots of them out there, and they're actually great fun to ride. I think they're more fun than a four-wheel quad bike, to be honest, because you know they wheelie a lot better for a start. Okay, so where should we start? Well, we've already stripped down the main jet, which sits in there with the emulsion tube. We've stripped down the idle jet. We've taken out the floats, obviously, and the float valve. And it all looks pretty damn clean, doesn't it? We've not really done anything to it yet. It's just been sat in the workshop for a week, and it's aired off. I think we stuck a bit of brake cleaner in there, but we didn't really do a lot with it. So we need to look in the manual now and see what Honda say to bring this carburetor back to life. We have had the bike running already on brake cleaner, which sort of eliminates the carburetor as the fuel air delivery system. We bypassed that, and it did run for a few seconds on brake clean. So we know that the engine is in a runnable condition. I haven't checked the oil yet. We'll do that later on before we fire it up, hopefully. But we do need to give this carb a really good clean out, make sure all the airways are clear, and the bike's going to run on the carb, because it has been sat in somebody's yard outside for a number of years, hence why I was so surprised the carburetor was in such a good condition. Okay, you've done carburetors before?
Very briefly.
A little bit. Okay, well, we didn't do a lot on the course because Tool Girl Holley used to be one of my students, so the carburetor stuff was ruled out of the course at that time, wasn't it? I wasn't allowed to teach you it, which was terrible. I think we did one lesson on it, didn't we?
Yeah.
Quick
One
overview. One theory lesson. This is carburetors, people, because you know there's still plenty of machines out there with carburetors, so it's important that we know how they work. Yeah. Definitely. Okay, you grab hold of that, and we'll pop down to the bench, we'll get the old 10 tools mat out and we'll do a bit of a close-up for you, and we'll get the rest of this carb stripped as per the service manual. You ready?
Yep.
Me too. Here we go. Pointy stick, we need one of those. Right, Holly, you head over here, and we're just going to tip out all the bits that we've already removed just to do a component ID, and we'll refer back to the service manual, which we've got here. Just to confirm, so we've got the float valve here, look, and that sits, do you want to hold that to camera for us, just there, look, that's cool. And the float valve sits basically in there, and its job, this is upside down by the way, so when the fuel level gets so high, it pulls the floats with it, and it basically puts pressure on that pin there, look, it's spring loaded, and closes that valve. So one of the common failures, and there's a video on this already, is this seat here gets worn. You can see, maybe, just, possibly, come on Samsung, you can do it. See that little sort of ring round there? Well, that's the seating point of that valve. And if that's damaged or that coating's worn off, then it can slowly weep. So if you leave the fuel on overnight, you'll notice that the carb's overflowed, and you get a little puddle of fuel on the floor, and it can cause the bike to run really rich, which is not good. So you've got to check that. That's the float valve, and we'll be testing that a bit later on. And this is the float valve seats, this brass piece in here. Now, quite often they're held in with a little screw on the side. There's like a little metal plate and a screw on some carburetors. But on this one, it looks like it's just a push fit. And there will be, or there should be, I think, between the brass seat and the aluminium casting, there'll be an O-ring hiding behind there. And those O-rings, because they're so hidden, they get forgotten about, and they perish. And then when they perish, they allow fuel to leak between the casting and the brass valve, so it just leaks into the carb. Again, it's something that people don't normally pick up on. You know, they'll try adjusting the float height and all sorts, and it just doesn't fix it, and it's normally that little O-ring hiding behind there, so do dig it out. Now, we've got the mixture screw, so we're going to take that out next. We've already removed the idle jet that comes out of here, which is that one there. What, Honda don't call it an idle jet, they call it a slow running jet, but it's basically the same thing. And we've got the main jet here, look, which came out of there, and you've got the main jet on the end there, look, and that's the emulsion tube. That basically is responsible for atomizing the fuel as it comes up through that jet out of the float bowl, and it gets drawn up there due to vacuum, and it sprays out quite finely through all those little holes, and it gets sucked up into the venturi, and then it finally atomizes in there, and then goes into the cylinder through here. It's pretty cool. Carburetors, they're amazing things. I'd like to meet the guy that designed it to start off with. It's pretty clever, isn't it? And I remember as a kid fixing loads of these on my little Honda C50s. Great. Okay, so there's the two jets, and we will clean those out because they're looking a bit gummy, aren't they, to be honest? And lastly, we've got the floats, and of course the float pin, which is what the whole thing pivots on. So we'll be looking at that a bit later on. Okay, so this is the mixture screw, and I'm assuming it's, you know, in the place it needs to be for that engine to run properly at idle, because it only affects the mixture at idle and very small throttle opening. So we need to count the number of turns to get it out. So if we turn that round, look, so that's half, 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5, 4. Is it loose yet? Nope. 4.5, nearly loose. 5, 5.5, 6, 6.5, 7, 7.5, 8. Golly, 8.5, 9. I reckon another maybe a quarter. Yeah, so 9.25 turns back in, and that'll be in the right place. Can you remember that?
Yep.
I can't. Okay, right. And you can see it's got a little tiny needle on the end of it there, look. So you've got to make sure that all that's nice and clean. Right. Oh, it smells delightful. Just smell that?
Yep.
It smells really old, stale fuel, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty distinctive smell. Okay, well, Honda say now it's all stripped down, we need to give the thing a damn good clean, and we've got these little sort of airways here, look, that we need to blast. We can blast a bit of brake cleaner down there and then put some compressed air down it, and we'll see where they come out, you know, where those drillings follow through. I think the first thing we'll do, though, before we do any more, is we'll take this intake manifold off, just so we've got better access.
Yep.
Cool. So 10mm spanner, Holly, if you don't mind. Right, yeah, look, you can do that bit. You can take over. Right, so we're going to stick it in the vise. So, yeah, does the vise work? Well, it doesn't look like it, does it? No. But you've got it.
Okay.
It's a manual vise.
Yep.
It's broken. All right, so which part are you going to clamp in the vise? Because carburetors are really, really, really delicate. It's not easy. Tell you, maybe I'll just hold it. How's that? Give that a go. Because my hands are a bit softer than the, well, only a little bit softer than the vise, I suppose, but give it a go. There you go, that's one. Let's flick it around. See if you can get that one off. We should have cracked them off when they're on the bike, shouldn't we, really? There you go, all yours.
Cool.
Good stuff. Cool. So you've got just under here, look, something else to inspect is the condition of that O-ring there, look. Now this is a really old bike, so it's probably knackered and it probably hasn't ever been changed. But the key to these O-rings, make sure there's no cracks or perishing, but also if it's got over squashed, if you look across the mating surface and the O-ring doesn't protrude beyond, i.e. it's not flexible anymore, then you can't expect it to create a seal when you rebuild it. You know, you're going to get an air leak, and that's going to cause the bike to run lean and erratic. So we can flick that out. There we go, look. Oh, that's delightful. What's been going on there? Somebody has been cheating. Look at that. I've never seen that done before. They've put some stuff, whatever it is, maybe some sealant or plastic. That looks like PTFE tape from plumbing, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. I'll remember that trick. It's amazing what you find on these old things, isn't it? So basically what's happened in the past is that O-ring has become too tired. It's lost its elasticity, they call it, and the guy's been getting an air leak through. Now, ideally you want to be replacing this. This is a very budget repair. I do have some really good product that I can put on there which will guarantee it's nicely sealed, but I'll have to order some more O-rings, I think. But we'll take it out for now just so it's out of the way so we don't lose it. But yeah, it's pretty squashed. You can see one side's nice and round there, look, and this side's all been flattened.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's no good. Okay, right, so the next job, now that that intake manifold is off, is we can check that the choke is working properly, and it is. That's nice and free. So we can put a bit of lube around those spindles when we come to reassemble it. But we need to clean out these two ports here, look, and we'll get some spray and we'll see where they come out within the float bowl or within the carburetor itself. Also, just down there, again, see that little tiny O-ring down there, look?
Yeah.
I wonder if we can fish that out. See if there's a pick in that top right hand drawer, Holly. Might be able to get out with that. I don't want to damage it, but it'd be good to get it out and have a look at it. So see if Andy can not destroy it. If it isn't going to come out, then it'll stay in, obviously. I think it's going to stay in, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Difficult to get back into.
Yeah, and I think if we disturb it, it's going to turn to pieces. So we'll leave that for now, but I will order another new one of those. But be aware there is one down there, and again, it'll help to seal. And it'll also allow that to maintain position as well. It'll be a tight fit on that stem there, so that when you turn this, the vibrations won't cause it to loosen off or tighten up. Okay, right, so we need some brake cleaner. There, you hold that, Holly. I think we'll move back to the mat. Scrub the brake clean. We've actually got some Carburetor Cleaner. I don't even remember buying it. It's fantastic. Right, so we get a little tube. We'll stick the little tube on the nozzle. There we go. And then, if you want, Holly, you can spray that down those two little holes one at a time. We'll see where it comes out. We'll try not to spray the camera too much if we can help it. So we'll try and keep that sealed sealed on there. Give it a little squirt. A bit more. There you go, look. So that one there connects to the idle jet. And it looks pretty clean. Okay, let's try that one, see where that one ends up. And again, a bit more. There you go. So that one feeds the main jet. Okay, so we've pretty much proved that they're both clear, which is a really good thing, because if they were blocked, the carburetor wouldn't work properly. Oh, man, that really stinks, doesn't it?
It does.
That's pretty cool stuff. Must remember to buy some more of that. Okay, right, so we'll give it a final blast now. We're not doing it to camera. Oh, mind your eyes. It's coming out pretty clean, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right, so we've also got fuel in from here, and that should be clear down to here. So we'll do it upside down because it's easier. So we should be, oh man, we're going to be so high after this, aren't we? Okay, so we should be going down there, try and get on camera, and we'll just spray it out of the fuel line. There we go, look, so we've got fuel coming out. Oh, brake cleaner, not brake, carb cleaner in fact, carb cleaner coming out. Okay, so all that's looking pretty good. I suppose we should take the idle screw out as well and just make sure that that's freed off, because they tend to rust in. And we'll set the idle later on, so I'm not too concerned about the position of that one. It's pretty dry on the thread, so we'll put a little bit of grease on there or something just to help lube it up. Okay, now, very, very hard to see on camera. Let me get my torch. Okay. If you look down the main jet, and I'll shine a light inside, you should hopefully be able to see the hole. Hopefully you can. Fingers crossed. Maybe it's up there, look. There you go. So we can see the light coming through. Can you see that, Holly?
Yep.
On the camera? So you've got light coming through. It's nice and clean in there. That's good. But usually the main jet doesn't block. It's normally the idle jet. This one here that's a bit of a problem. So we need to look down there as well. And that one, looking at that, is pretty damn clear. But we'll give it a blast out with the airline anyway. So those are a couple of checks that you need to do when you're reassembling a carb and cleaning it all out. Okay, right. Time to make some real bad audio on the video. We're going to get the airline. And you know what airlines do to cameras? They make it as if you're making lots of noise. So prepare yourself for a hurricane, I suppose it would be called, wouldn't it? Okay. Right, yeah, you're in charge of the hurricane. Okay, so we'll do down those two tubes again, those two at the front of the cam, or the intake. So you're going to blast down those. I haven't got a little rubber hose on the end of here, but give it a go. Okay, and again. And let's do it the other way. So we'll do it down that way. And again. Cool, I can feel that coming out. And down the main jet. There we go, we saw it pop out of there. That's cool. And down there, look. Cool. Now we're not going to do it excessively, but when you're doing your carbs, obviously you can give it a real good clean out. Let's have one more go. Now we've done the demo, we can give it a good blast. Hey. Did I get you?
No.
So basically we're just putting the compressed air down basically all of the orifices around the carb, just to make sure that everything's nice and clear without going too mad. Okay, one last check with the old torchy. Stick it up there, look. And there we go, you can see both the idle and the main jets are nice, well not the jets, but the actual passageways are nice and clear. Cool. Okay, well I think the next job to do is to reassemble the components in the float ball, and then we're going to check to see if that float valve is leaking or not, because that's really, really important that it doesn't leak. And then, if that's okay, we'll measure the float height. I hope that it's not outside spec, and the reason for that is these floats appear to be non-adjustable. Everything's plastic. When they're adjustable, they normally have a little metal tab on there that you can bend This doesn't have that, so I don't think they're adjustable, but we'll check the manual for the spec when we get around to that bit. Also, inspect them for any kind of holes or damage, because if the floats have got a hole in them, well, they're not going to float anymore, are they?
No.
You know, they're going to sink to the bottom of the float bowl, and they're going to allow allow that valve to be in the open position, and that's another reason why you've got fuel overflowing out of your carb. And you often find the old brass floats with the solder on, they tend to fail, the solder cracks, and over time the floats fill up with fuel. But you can usually repair those if you're really good with a soldering iron. I'm not, unfortunately. Right, so our first job, Holly, if you want to just hold that there for us, because it requires many, many hands. And hang on, just get that little valve, there we go. And we need a little pivot as well, so you hold that for us, there you go. Right, now, the float valve, this one doesn't look too bad. And just check the little spring at the top is working correctly. It's going to be hard to see that on camera, but fingers crossed you can. And basically that just slides in there like that. And then what we'll do, we'll get the pin and we're going to just locate that just into the... Oh no! Andy's messed it up. Jeez, too many things going on. Let's try again. Put that in there. There we go. In fact, I'll give you the pin, Holly. There you go. You can do the pin. I'm just going to try and get that on camera for you without it falling out. Wiggle it down. There we go. Right, can you pop that pin through for us? It usually goes in only from one side, so if that side's stiff, then try the other side. Yeah, try the other one. Try the other tower. So come in from this side, see if that's going to work. There you go. Brilliant. So when you're doing these, sometimes they're quite a tight fit. I imagine on this one, the actual float bowl, once that's in position, you can see those little two ribs there, look, inside?
Yep.
Once the float bowl's in place, it's going to hold that pin and stop it from falling out. Whereas on some carburetors, that pin is actually quite tight on the final tower that it goes into. Although sometimes they've got little splines on them as well, and they actually cut in, which is, I think, pretty bad. It's pretty, you know, only strip it down so many times, it's going to be loose, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so at the moment, all that is assembled, and you can see as the floats go up, they're going to close that valve. Right, so we're not going to bother putting that on just yet. What we need to do now is measure, well, we're going to see if that float valve actually leaks, aren't we? That was the plan of attack. So we're going to just rig the camera up. We need the carburetor in the normal orientation. We're going to give it a bit of fuel in the pipe, and we're going to see if we can, when we lift those floats up, we're going to see if the actual valve seals properly. We're not too concerned about float height at the moment. We're just checking to make sure that valve in there, pointy stick, actually seals properly. It'll also test to make sure that the O-ring's sealing as well. Unless it's a really, really minor leak, we probably wouldn't notice that doing this test. Right, Holly, can you just hold those floats up for me, just with your finger? Yeah, you got it?
Yep.
Cool. So, yeah, it's against the spring there, so that height should be fine. I'm just going to pop a little bit of fuel in the funnel, and it shouldn't leak. That's the plan. Can you see any leaking out?
No.
Cool. I won't put too much in because we might have a cigarette later on and we'll die, won't we? Okay, so if I just take control of the floats. Right, so basically, oh, can you see there, look?
Yep.
All right, so if you get the compressed air, the airline, you can blow off those drips. Just give them a little blast away from the camera. That's cool. So at the moment, the float valve is closed. So if we give it a couple of seconds, basically we'll see any fuel that might be dribbling out. And if it did, then of course that's a fail. It would need a new float valve and seat, unfortunately. Yep. A lot of places would only replace the float valve. They wouldn't replace the seat as well, but you should really replace both. That's the plan. So once the level of the fuel, pointy stick, once the level of the fuel drops in the float ball because the engine's running, those floats will start to drop, and we'll see that valve start to open. There you are, look, you see?
Yep.
Pretty cool, and then it should stop again. Sorry, it's only petrol. Probably dissolve my tripod, but anyway, not to worry. I'll give it another blast off. Excellent. Pretty well organised, actually, isn't it? It's good. It's a good test. I mean, I can't. Can you see any seepage? Because I can't see from here. Can you see any seepage between the brass seat and the casting of the aluminium?
No.
All looks pretty dry.
Yep.
Good. So that's a conclusive test to prove that that float valve isn't leaking. So the only other thing we have to do now is check the float height. Oh, sorry, it's my fault. I was relaxing my fingers. Give it another blast. Cool. Okay. So the next job is to check the float height, and to do that we've got to look in the manual for the specs. Pretty easy there. Right, where's that rag? Because we've got lots of fuel left. Okay, let's let it just dribble onto there, look. Fantastic. So that will be now sort of filling up the float bowl.
Yep.
And it's only gravity fed, so that's about how fast the fuel can flow. That's all you get. Obviously the more fuel in your fuel tank, the faster it's going to run. A bit more pressure behind it. Cool, right, let's not smoke near that. Okay. Float height, what does Honda tell us? Because manufacturers have many different ways of giving you float height specifications. Some manufacturers, you build the carb up and you put a little plastic hose, a clear hose, off the drain of the carb on the bottom of the float bowl, which would be that little bit there, and then you'd open the screw, which would then allow the fuel to flow out of the float bowl, and you put the clear pipe in like a U-bend, and then of course you can see the level of fuel, because obviously it's the same as what's in the float bowl, and then you can measure it, usually off the interface, the casting, or where the gasket is, where the float bowl connects to the carb. That's one way of doing it. Another way is to measure with a ruler, again from that casting with the carburetor upside down, and sort of the float's just sitting on that spring. You measure it with a ruler that way. I've no idea what Honda say about this particular carb, so we'll have a little look. Float level adjustment, let's see what they say about that. So, measure the float level with a float level gauge. Oh, we haven't got one of them. Damn. Float level should be 14 millimeters. That's their specification there, look. That's the diagram. There's the spec. And to adjust the float level, bend the float arm carefully until the float tip just contacts the float valve. It's plastic. It's probably just going to snap. I hope it's right. Okay, now what does their special tool look like? Have we got one? Ah, it's there, look. It's that little plastic thing there. Okay, so the distance, so that they've got the carb actually sat, where's my carb gone? There it is. Right, they've got the carburetor sat in that orientation there. And what they're doing is they're just measuring from this surface down to the actual edge. So we're going to have to use a ruler, basically. A ruler, or even, we could use verniers. Verniers would be cool. Yeah, verniers. Let's do things, at least it looks more professional with Vernier Calipers, doesn't it? Okay, let's see where we stand. It does seem strange why they've got the carb on its side there, because there's no real sort of conclusive element. I think they're just going to be moving the floats till they touch and just rest on the spring. I think that's the idea. So very slight angle, I think, is the plan of attack here. Right. So Holly, if you hold the carb to camera like that, that's it. I'm going to be measuring on this side, so just mind your finger a little bit. We'll try and do it the wrong way. You wouldn't normally do it like this. Okay, so wait. Okay, so we've got on there a measurement of 13.71 millimeters. What's the tolerance? Does it give us a tolerance? I don't think it does. No. So those floats are very slightly out of adjustment. Oh, my measuring's crap. Let's give it another go. I'm going to try and measure it a bit more freehand now, see if you can see what's going on. So, where do they say? Oh, right in the middle. Okay, so we've got to measure it in the middle of the float. And really all I'm doing is lining up the verniers sort of by sight, which is not ideal. wonder if the weight of the floats will affect it actually. It does, doesn't it? You can see it closing against that spring. See as I bring it down into the horizontal?
Yeah.
They're actually dropping down, aren't they?
Mm.
So maybe the guy in the manual knows what he's talking about. Maybe that's the difference why we're getting a different measurement. Yeah, there's about 0.5 mil difference, I would say. It's not easy to camera, people. Give me a chance. Jeez, I can see you all, hear you all chuntering in the background. So I'm just doing it by sight across the edge of the centre of that float. Okay, so we've got 14.21 this time. So take an average of those two. What do we get? About 14 mil. I reckon they're about right. But, you know, you've got to be pretty accurate with this, so do take a few measurements. Okay, so you need to set your floats to 14 millimetres. I'm not going to touch these yet, to be honest, because with that being plastic in there, given the fact it's a 1984 vehicle, if I try and bend that plastic, I'm pretty confident it's going to break. You know, normally it's metal. Normally it's a little metal tab that you can easily adjust, and you can set that float height. And I'll do it when I come across a carb that's got the little metal tab. I'll do a video on setting the float height on that type of carb. Okay, now the next job, we're going to move on, otherwise we'll be here all day. The next job is we need to make sure that the two jets, the main jet and the idle jet, are super clean. And at the moment, they really, really aren't. They're pretty, well, it's like green crusties on there, isn't it? Yeah. Pretty corroded. So what you can do is just very gingerly, we can put a spanner on there, and or even put it in the vise, but not crimp it up too much. And we can actually undo the main jet. And then we'll get a little wire brush and we'll give them a bit of a clean. And a blowout with the airline. Because, again, this one, where's my torch? Very hard on camera, but you should be able to see. Oh, look at that. You can see, so the actual idle jet is clear. You can see the light through there, Holly?
Yep.
Yeah. And the main jet's not normally a problem, but that's pretty clean too. Yep. Cool. All right, so it's more really an external corrosion going on there. So we'll give those a clean up, and we'll get back to you very shortly. Right, Holly, can you open the vise a little bit for us, and we'll get this main jet put in. Sorry. Yeah, look, that'll do. Right, you can close it up again. That's it, keep going. Wonderful. Just give it a little nip, don't go mad because it's only brass and it'll deform. Right, screwdriver time. Okay, right, pop that into the, see if you can get that little jet unscrewed from the end. Obviously it's anti-clockwise, just normal threads. You've got to sort of push down as you're doing it. Oh yeah, look at that, professional. Okay. I think you're about there. Yep, got it. Perfect. Okay, so we're going to have to use a little wire brush and give that a clean. Now, from memory, there's two jets. There's a 95. Just passes that wooden wire brush over there, like hell, if you can. The wooden one's a lot better because the plastic one's knackered. Now, I think it's 95 is the standard, and they do a 90 for a high altitude. Over 5,000. God, I read the manual this morning. Over 5,000 feet. Not meters, but feet. Because it's American. I think these Hondas were built in America, actually. Or the manuals for the American market, anyway. Jeez. I can't see anything on there. What's your eyesight like? Can you see any numbers on there?
No.
No. It may not be the original main jet. It might have got changed at some point. There's nothing around the side, is there, either?
No.
No. If any of you viewers can see anything written on this thing, let me know, because I can't see a damn thing on it. Let's give you some focus. There you go. Okay, so we'll have to assume for now that that is the correct size, which should be a 95 main jet. Okay, right, where's that carb cleaner? Let's give it a little blast out. Way, easy, tiger. Okay, we'll let that sit for a minute and we'll give it a blast out with the airline. Whoa. Strong stuff in it, that.
Yeah.
Good. I don't know why I'm doing all the work. I've got a tool girl today. You should be doing this. Right, there you go. That's for you. So much easier with a tool girl here. Saves me all the laborious tasks. It's great. Plus I get an excellent view to watch whilst you're doing that as well. It's super. Now obviously the corrosion on the outside of the main jet isn't going to affect its operation, but we are giving this carb a bit of a clean up. Just give it the best possible chance, and while we're in there, why not clean it, you know? Because that corrosion could break off and it could go off somewhere and block something up, so it's a good idea to do it properly. How much of your fingers have you managed to wire brush at the same time?
None.
You've done pretty well. I'm usually pretty bad at that. Now I think actually there's a little ring, I think, of sealant around there, so we'll leave that well alone. That maybe isn't corrosion, but it's important that all these little holes, these little, to camera Andy, to camera. It's important that all these little holes are also not blocked, so we'll get the little torchy and we'll have a little look. Try and line it up for you. Can you see? I don't know. Can you see through there or not? Oh, hang on. No, they should be opposite, so they should shine through. There you go. Look at that. It's like a gun. Cool. So I think we've done a pretty good job cleaning that out. Jesus, woman. You scare me shitless sometimes. Honestly. There's a hole there at the end. There you go. So they're all clean. Pretty good. And we can obviously see down there as well. Nice and clean. Excellent job, Holly. Well done. I think it's time now we can reassemble this carb. Right, back to the bench. Let's get this done because I'm getting really hungry. I bet you're getting hungry too, aren't you?
Yeah.
Is it going to be pie time shortly?
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah, it could be a trip to the petrol station. Okay, so it's dead easy to assemble. We can just pop the main jet back into the emulsion tube. We'll tweak it up once it's in. Pop that into there. And I think we need an 8mm spanner from that from memory. Let's have a look. It's another 7. What the hell's going on today? 7mm spanners. Hang on then. I think we might have one somewhere. We had one earlier on, didn't we?
Yeah.
What's that? Is that a 7? It is. Okay, well, 7mm it is. Let's not over tighten it. And once that's in, we can now tighten the main jet at the same time, so we'll give it a little tweak. I've never yet come across a carburetor with a main jet that's fallen out, so they don't need to be tight. Okay, now the idle jet. We've checked that, it's nice and clean. Pop that back into there. Give it a screw in. Until it seats somewhere down there. There we are, nice positive seat, perfect. And now we've got the idle adjustment screw. God, how many turns was it? Remember?
9.5.
9.5? 9.25, wasn't it? Yeah, good call. Okay, so we're just going to spray a little bit of that carb cleaner, because there is an O-ring down there, so we'll spray a little bit of carb cleaner in, and that's just going to help that to be a bit looser on that O-ring to start off with. Right, Andy, you're not counting, are you? Fuck's sake. Okay, right, start again. Here we go. Right, so 9.25, you reckon, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
Half, 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5, 4, 4.5, 5, 5.5, 6, 6.5, 7, 7.5, 8, getting tight. Oh God. 8.5, 9, 9.25. That'll do me. Obviously we can make a fine adjustment when the bike's running. Okay, any more bits left? Yes, one more bit. This needs to go onto the main jet, and I think it goes that way around, but I could be wrong. Where's the manual? I've got to check the manual. Hang on. I'm sure it's that way, like that. Could be wrong. No, it's not. It's that way. Because we've got the tube. There you go, look. See? You work it out. So the little tube, there's a little cutting there, look. for it to go through. Brilliant. We're getting there. It's easy, really. Right. All right, Holly, we need a little medium-sized star screwdriver. Can you grab us one of those out of the toolbox for us? There we go. Right. Yeah, you can screw them up because you're good at that kind of stuff. And again, don't over tighten these because it can distort the float ball, believe it or not. It can distort this aluminium here and then they never seal properly. Now if you were reconditioning this carb, you'd put obviously a new O-ring seal around that that float ball as well.
Yeah.
But we're doing it cheap. We don't quite know how good the engine is yet. It probably got parts up for a reason. Right, super job. Okay, just give that one a little more, another one tweak. The first one you did. Perfect. That will do me just fine. Okay, all going to plan. So what else have we got left? Well, we've got the idle adjustment. So this little screw goes through there, and basically that rounded area there runs on the actual slide and just basically acts as a stop. That's all it is. So it just adjusts how high that slide sits when you're idle, and that controls how much air comes through the carb and therefore how much fuel. So we'll just wind that in for now and we'll adjust it a bit later on. All right, Holly, we've done the boring bit and we've rebuilt the carb, and we know that everything inside the carb, all the little alleyways, the little airways and so on, the fuel line and so on, and everything's clean. It's all going to work, hopefully. So if you grab that, we're going to wander over to the bike. We're going to reinstall it onto the bike. We're going to refit the starter motor for about the 4th time because I took it off this morning because I'm going to do a video on that. But we'll put it back on, put some fuel in the carb, chuck a battery on it, and who knows, it might actually fire up. But remind me, I've got to check the engine oil first. Yeah. Okay, because I didn't do that last time. I got told off. Right, Ollie. If you want to slide the carb in, we've got to get it ideally into that rubber in the back there at the same time, so it's not easy. Right. So see what you can do. It came out. if that's any concession. Mm-hmm. So maybe poke that in first, see if you can get it lined up with the hole, with that rubber, and then just push it. We'll worry about getting the rubber on later on. Let's just push the carb back. There we go, look, into position. Okay, now there should be a couple of bolts on the bench. I know they're different lengths, but they should do the trick. Are you lined up? You tell me where you want me to be.
It's just spin a bit.
Rotate.
Yeah,
that way?
Other way.
Other way. Like that, look.
Yep.
Cool. Yeah, and then you can pivot off that, can't you? Yeah. That's an easier one to see what's going on. Now, we've not replaced the O-rings, unfortunately, because we don't have any, but we have used some really good sealant, haven't we, Holly?
Yeah.
So fingers crossed we can get this thing fired up. Has she started yet? Let's see where we go from here.
Not quite yet.
Oh, there you go. I spoke too soon. That's it, there we go. I feel it starting now. Alright, so we need an 8mm spanner for these, by the looks of it.
Right.
Grab that out of the toolbox. I think it's in the toolbox, not sure. Or did we use it on the... No, it was a 7 on the main jet, wasn't it? On the emulsion tube, so you need an 8.
Yeah, it is here.
You got it. Okay. There you go, if you want to have a go at cranking those up. I think we did a pretty good job getting that rubber pipe on, didn't we, as well? It's actually on. You did a great job. That was lucky. So, how clean is this? I think it'll be alright. We'll get rid of the cobwebs. Right, Holly, all we need to do now is drop in the slide now. Try and get it into shot. Here we go, look. There we are. So on one side of the slide we've got this little recess, and inside there's a little ramp.
Yeah.
Can you see that? Like a tapered section.
Yeah.
well, that's where that little screw runs against to set the height. So it's important that that goes in the carb on the side with the screw. So I think that's your side, isn't it? On the little screw down there, the adjustment screw. That's the one, yep. And then the other side will just have a groove all the way up. And there'll be a little brass dowel just sticking out inside the carb. So if you get them the wrong way around, if you get this 180 degrees out, it won't drop all the way down, it'll sit. And then if you do get it started, it'll rev its nuts off. And it's also important that you don't force it down because you're also trying to get the needle into the emulsion tube as well. There we go. And it should drop. There we are. Right, we're in. It's always good. And then the next pitfall is cross-threading these little tiny, really fine aluminium threads on top of the carb. You just got to take your time lining them up. It's not easy. Being a mechanic's not easy, is it? There's so many things to go wrong and deliberately catch you out and make you fail, and it's like, oh, really? Didn't see that coming.
A lot of safety responsibility too.
There is a lot of safety these days. Right, again, don't over tighten it. So, quick check. Oh yeah, so the throttle slide works fine. Brilliant. So we now need some petrol, and we've got to refit the starter motor. 5-minute job. We won't bother putting that on camera because I've already seen you do the starter motor a few times.
Yep.
Okay, so the carb has now got its little fuel tank of a funnel, and it's about half full, so that we know the float bowl is full and it's not leaking. It's a pretty good sign, isn't it? We've checked the engine oil. It's very black, wasn't it?
Yep.
But it's got some,
Yep.
so it's good enough for this bit. It's going to be real noisy because there's no header pipe on it, so it's going to blob, 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 but, you know, make a few flames. Should be good. I'm going to be making sparks at this end as well because I've got to bridge the starter relay because that's seized up. But who knows? It might actually work. I might have to manipulate the choke a little bit manually as well, but we'll find out. Let's try and get it running. Here goes. Real petrol in the ATC rather than brake cleaner. It's going to be cool, isn't it? All right. Golly. Where's my... I had an arcing device. There we are, look. I'm going to use these to bridge the terminals. Right, Holly, you've got the throttle up there, look. That's that little fun thing. I've got the choke in case we need it. And I'm going to be making sparks as well. Great stuff. Okay. Here goes. Oh, ignition on. What the hell? We have a green light because it's a bit dodgy, the ignition barrel as well. It's got so many faults, this bike. It's unreal. Okay. Can't actually see what I'm doing. Okay. Way. I need to adjust the idle. Right, I know it's not warmed up yet, but we'll just crank that up a little bit because I think it just stalled as soon as you let go, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to come around and adjust that whilst... Oh, it's warm. It hasn't been warm for years. Bloody good. Right, we'll go again. You're going to catch it on the throttle.
Yeah.
It should start with that choke now, I think. Yeah. Okay, get some choke. I might run out of fuel. Because it ran for a while, didn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll spend some more money. How do you double the value of an ATC? You fill a tank with petrol.
Especially with petrol prices.
God, yeah, it's horrific. you're glad to be on the bike now, aren't you?
Yeah.
Right. Okay, ignition's on. It might start without the choke because it has been running for a bit now. Bloody awesome, isn't it? It's great. I love bringing things back to life. It's fantastic. But I mean, it might have even run on its carb as it was, but at least we know it's cleaned out and it's good and we can sign it off.
Yeah.
Done. Awesome. Right, back to the bench, Holly. Come here, gorgeous. Well, there you go, crew. It bloody runs on its normal fuel. That's 91 unleaded petrol through the carb. Dead chuffed. And I saw you jump when it fired. That was really cool. I always like to get my tool girls to jump now and again. Okay, crew, well, hopefully you found this video helpful. Obviously, you know, once we've ridden the bike and we know it's a good going concern, it's worth spending a little bit of money on. And the more I work on it, the more I want to get this thing fixed and get it rideable. So I'm going to be sourcing some rear wheels for it, sourcing some second-hand plastics, and, you know, just not making it concourse, obviously, but I'm going to make it usable so we can have some fun on it. And obviously we'll chuck the GoPro on and go and do a bit of a ride around the paddock as well for you all. But I need to buy, obviously, O-rings for those two seals on the intake manifold for the carb, because we've just gummed them up with some goo at the moment, but did a pretty good job because obviously there's no air leaks. It idles very nicely. If you enjoyed the video, then why not click, I'm just going to move you across a little bit, Holly, there we go. Click on the subscribe button, you'll see a little gear icon turn up. You can click on the gear icon and that will turn on notifications, and our friends down at YouTube will send you an email as and when I upload any more videos. And there's usually 2 or 3 every single week on average. Some weeks there's more, some weeks, the very sad weeks, there aren't any at all because Andy's away working, unfortunately. One day that might change, who knows. You'll also find me on
Facebook, Instagram, Google+, Twitter and Patreon.
That's right, you will. And you can communicate through any of those portals if you like. But first point of contact, if you don't mind, through the comments on YouTube, because let's face it, that's where the videos are. Now, as regards Patreon, if you go onto there, there's some special stuff for you all to have a look at. There's the history of the Andy Mechanic YouTube channel, how it came to be, up and coming future projects, and obviously this Honda ATC is one of those. There's lots more coming up as well. And you can also become a patron. And that means you can donate money to keep the channel, I won't say going, but to help to improve the channel so we can buy more things to do different cool projects on. Anything that's sent through is very much appreciated, but I would like to say, please don't send anything through that you can't afford. That's not the idea of the whole Patreon page, to be honest. Now, lastly, that you'll also find on Patreon, and Tool Girl Holley knows all about this, you'll find the Tool Girl profiles. So the history of each Tool Girl, how they came to be on the Andy Mechanic YouTube channel. There's obviously some photos on there that you can use as your wallpaper or print off or do whatever you want with. There's plenty of those, and I'll keep adding to those as more and more videos get made. So watch out, Holly. There's going to be some more fresh pictures coming up soon. All right, crew. Well, it's about time for lunch now, so I better sign off. The next video is going to be stripping down the starter motor and taking a quick visual inspection inside, because if you remember on one of the earlier videos, the starter motor was seized solid. It is working, but it's pretty sluggish, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's on a car battery. So when we get it put on a motorcycle battery with, you know, less CCA, yeah, I think that bike's going to struggle to start. So I think there is an issue with the starter motor. I want to take a look inside, see if I can work out what it is. All right, chaps. Until next time, it's goodbye from Andy Mechanic.
And goodbye from Tool Girl Holley.
It is. Cheers, crew. Over and out. And we get the pick up again.
Oh! Bye.